I spent 27 years dealing with chronic illness, saw all the doctors, looked for the right pills, the right diet, the right supplements, and nothing worked. And I became pretty hopeless that it would ever change. And I remember thinking, well, what do I do now? I started learning to meditate. I started trying to find joy in the life rather than slogging through and working so hard. I thought, you know what? Let me find joy. Let me find some gratitude. And it occurred to me that I could find joy and happiness even if I had symptoms. And the funny thing is once I made that switch, my symptoms started reducing. And within about 10 months, my symptoms were all gone.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about chronic illness, managing chronic pain, and reclaiming your health. I'm delighted to welcome Lori Clemmons. Lori is a compassionate wellness coach with an extensive background in mental health and well-being practices. She is also an author, certified clinical trauma specialist, NLP master practitioner, and hypnotherapy expert. You can reach Lori at her website, loriclemmons.com, and I'll include that link in the show notes. Welcome, Lori. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Hi, thank you, Linda. It's so good to be here.
Thank you. And I'm so excited for this beautiful message of hope that you are bringing. And as I was checking out your website, I saw that there was an offer for a free ebook that's titled Reclaiming Your Life. And I loved the title of that, Reclaiming. And even the name feels empowering, like I can do that. And so if you wouldn't mind, can we start with your story of when you reclaimed your life?
Yes, I would love to share that. I spent 27 years dealing with chronic illness. At one point, it seemed to have hit me out of nowhere. Thought I had a flu, was in bed for a few days, and then it just never got better. Ended up bedbound for about a year and a half. Saw all the doctors, looked for the right pills, the right diet, the right supplements, the right therapies, all the things that from the outside I was supposed to be doing. And nothing worked. Eventually, I got a little bit better, start kind of trying to make it through life, but it always felt like I was slogging through the mud. The fatigue, the headaches, the chronic pain with fibromyalgia, lupus, the special diets, and so many sensitivities to chemicals, foods, environment. It was just hard and I became pretty hopeless that it would ever change. And I just need to buck up and work harder and, make the most of what I have, even though it's hard. And I remember getting to a point, I had been homebound for about 2.5 years, and my youngest daughter graduated from high school. And I remember thinking, well, what do I do now? Kind of like that, almost like a midlife crisis. I've been working so hard to keep up, and now I have time for me. And I slowed down. I started learning to meditate. I started doing artwork. I started trying to find joy in the life rather than slogging through and working so hard. I thought, you know what? Let me find joy. Let me find some gratitude. And it occurred to me that I could find joy and happiness even if I had symptoms. I could still connect with my family. I could still enjoy my life. And the funny thing is once I made that switch, my symptoms started reducing. And within about 10 months, my symptoms were all gone. No change in medications or doctors. It had nothing to do with the external. It was all about me reclaiming my life and seeing where I could find that joy to relax my nervous system. And my nervous system had been stuck in fear. Oh no, this is bad. The fatigue, oh, it's bad. And had been stuck in that fight, flight, freeze response. And it wasn't until I could relax the nervous system then that my body had the energy and the resources to be able to focus on healing. And it was amazing. And so that really has prompted me to get more education, more experience, and then to be able to do the work that I have, that I do with women with chronic illness.
Wow. And your story, which is so beautiful, also feels so counterintuitive. I mean, you started with, I am doing everything I can. I am reaching out for the help that I need, all of the outside resources. I am trying to follow the diets. I am trying to take the medication. I am trying to do what the doctors say. I am trying harder. And everything I do feels like I am slogging through mud. And I know I can relate to that feeling. And I'm sure there are many others who are listening who feel that way, where life just going from day to day feels like slogging through mud. And your physical symptoms are more severe than anything that I have faced.
Mm.
Being homebound for years, being bedbound for over a year and a half. I mean, that is severe. Your body was just not cooperating in spite of you really trying harder. And our natural response is, if it's not working, that means I need to try even harder.
Yes.
And it's fascinating that the answer is not that. It's almost the opposite. It's not in trying and not even in doing, it's in being, which is harder to quantify,
Yes.
harder to explain how to do something, how to become something. But you took the time to relax, slow down, and be able to actively search for joy. It was active,
Yes.
but it wasn't necessarily doing something except for this looking for it, being aware of it. And that is so amazing and so counterintuitive when we ask people, let's slow down a little bit. And part of the magic of what you were explaining and why something that feels counterintuitive works is because it is physiological. When we're looking inside, it's not just how are we feeling, but it's actually working in harmony with our body. And when you say, oh, when I did this, it helped to calm my nervous system. I was running in that fight, flight, and freeze mode. And you're probably aware of this, but maybe not all of our listeners are. Our body has this amazing, amazing system of conservation of energy where we have a basic system. We call it parasympathetic. Sometimes we call it rest and digest, where our body says, all right, we're going to take care of the basic functions. You're going to be breathing. Your heart's going to be running. We're going to get your food digested. We're going to help your growth processes. We're going to help heal your body. All of these things, we're going to do all that. And then if there's an emergency, the body says, whoa, 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 that's not our priority right now. So I'm going to divert energy away from all of those things. We're going to take care of this emergency. And then when it's taken care of, we can switch back and do the other things again. And it's not bad. This is a good system in our body. It's supposed to do it. The problem is when we are in a chronic state of fight and flight, it means we are not digesting our food properly. Our body is not healing. All of those basic systems that help us to run our body to function, they're turned down or even turned off, and our bodies fall apart. And if we don't get it switched back into um, that rest and digest phase, we have a problem. And you were able to do that. And when you did it, your body said, "Oh, I know what to do. Let's start fixing things." And when you put it in terms that way, it's more, I don't know. There's something about having a physiological problem that there's no shame attached. There's no judgment attached. It's like, I have a broken leg. Nobody says, "Whoa, that's embarrassing." It's like, "Oh, okay, well, let's let you fix your leg." Same thing in our bodies. Once we realize this is physical, this is a physical, physiological thing, then all of a sudden we can say, "Oh, there's no shame in that. There's no judgment." Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. And I like to compare it to, if you have a fire in the kitchen, it's not the time to be making your bed. And it's the same thing the way our body works. If that nervous system has been activated, then your body's not going to be focused on digesting your food. And I know with for me and what I see in so many of my clients is, I had been in that fight or flight mode for so long, I didn't even recognize that I was in it anymore. And so if you would have asked me, "Are you stressed?" I would have said no. "Do you need to relax?" "No, I'm fine. I sleep 20 hours a day." "No, I'm plenty relaxed." And so we get to this point where we're at becomes our normal. We don't realize that our nervous system is even triggered, because that has become our norm. And we live in a culture that moves very fast. And so that stress response can become, again, our norm, the expectation. We don't realize what it means to really calm down. Things like mindfulness, meditation, a walk in the woods, doing art, those things help us to slow down. And to be honest, quite often, it feels really uncomfortable at first, because we might have emotions come up that we aren't used to having. We might just feel a little bit edgy. We don't like that, so we want to go and do something rather than sit with those emotions, recognize that, they're uncomfortable, but I'm safe. They're going to pass. It's part of the healing process. And then to be able to just take that deep breath, and it's like, I feel lighter now. I feel softer. I feel better able to engage with people as those emotions come and we work through them.
That is so beautiful. As you're explaining this, and you can just feel how this is, again, counterintuitive. We live in a society where we want instant microwavable meals. We want everything faster, faster. If I look up a website and it takes more than 5 seconds to load, maybe it's not worth it. I'm going to go someplace else. We want faster and faster and more and more. And you're saying we need to slow down, and people think, well, I can't keep up as it is. I am running as fast as I can, and I can't keep up. If I slow down for a minute, the world is going to fall apart. My life is going to fall apart. Horrible things are going to happen. And then you mentioned something even worse. I might feel something that I don't want to feel. So I need to push that away and pick up my phone and start scrolling through something. I got to distract myself. I got to be busy. And And all of these things become, as you said, normal. This is normal. This is what is expected. Is there anything wrong? Nope. This is a normal day. Everything is okay.
Yeah.
And I loved how you said we can sit with our feelings and know that we are safe. And that feeling of safety is so critical, because it's when we don't feel safe, that is the trigger that puts us into our fight and flight. So, can you walk us through how you sit with a feeling that's uncomfortable but you know, hmm, I'm still safe. What is that like? What does that feel like?
Yeah, and not only does that emotion come up, quite often the physical symptoms will increase. If we have pain, if we have, certain reactions to things, when we take those few breaths, we feel more pain. And then that distracts us from dealing with the emotions. Or we can feel more fatigue when we start working with those emotions because the body is like, this doesn't feel good. And so we can sit with it, take a few breaths, even just a few breaths, being able to feel the air coming in, feeling your belly rise, feeling your belly fall, and just sit with. Maybe you only sit with it for 1 or 2 breaths. That's awesome. Starting small can be really helpful. Too often we have this all or nothing type of thinking where, oh, okay, I need to go do a 15-minute meditation. And that can be so uncomfortable. We don't want to do it again. Meditation's just not for me. Rather than if we can take a breath or two, oh, see, that wasn't dangerous. A little uncomfortable, but I can do that. Then the next time we can maybe do 3 breaths or 4 breaths. And we can build step by step. So my dad used to say, be the tortoise, not the hare. The hare went fast and burned out. And so many of us, myself included, are that type A personality. Let me do it more and faster. And it just doesn't work that way. We're better off to be like the hare or like the tortoise. Consistent, slow steps forward is going to get us there.
Wow. Okay. So I'm sitting here, I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I'm breathing through it. A couple of breaths. And it feels not only emotionally uncomfortable, but I am physically uncomfortable. There are sensations in my body. I don't like this. And then you just keep going and breathe through it and let it exhale. And after I do a couple breaths, if I'm ready to check out and I don't want to handle it anymore, what do I do then? Do I just go about my day?
Take those couple of breaths, and your self-talk here is so powerful. Being able to say, hey, I did great. I did great. I sat there for those 2 breaths. I'm awesome. I'm going to go do something else now. And then moving on, not out of fear, not out of running, but out of, hey, I did a great job. I'll come back to it again. When we push too hard, which is easy to do, we do that, we go 5 minutes and then we're more agitated. And then, okay, I can't do it anymore. And then we trigger more fear. And so then the next time that we want to sit with an emotion, there's more resistance. As opposed to take those few baby steps. Okay, I'm doing good. I can feel, yeah, it's uncomfortable, but I'm okay. Okay, I did great. I had a couple of breaths. I'm going to move on now. Moving on into the next event, whether it's, going on your phone, having a conversation, or just moving around, walking around from a place of self-compassion, from a place of no judgment, from a place of celebration, as opposed to from that place of fear and, oh, I didn't do as long as I should. That was bad. That was bad. When we can do that self-compassion, then we're more able to come back again and engage with that emotion the next time. It becomes not as scary.
So I can successfully sit with something for a couple breaths
Mm-hmm.
and feel at peace, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
and keep myself in a place of, I am okay.
Yes.
I can have compassion for myself. I can do this. And then breathe it out and then go ahead and do the distraction, do the other thing that I want to do, go for a walk, do a whatever, and say, I did a good job for
Yes.
holding still and holding that self-compassion for 30 seconds or
Hmm.
60 seconds. Now that I have had that personal experience and know I didn't die, I survived, it's okay, then I can do it again and maybe more frequently or maybe a little bit longer. When things are hard, when we do something new, I think a lot of things are hard and we choose our hard. It's hard to be stressed out all the time. It's hard to be burned out. It's hard to be exhausted. Those things are hard. This is not harder than that. It's just a different hard. And part of it being challenging is that it is different. It's new. Don't you
Yes.
think?
Yes. And I loved what you talked about at the beginning, just about that power to make our choices, to be able to reclaim our life. So often our life feels like we're on automatic pilot. It's go, go, go. And we've just got our routines and we've got all of these commitments. But part of being able to rewire our wellness and reclaim our life is recognizing the choices that we have. We think we have to do all these things, but when we really take some time to evaluate, I do have a few minutes to slow down and take those breaths. I do have maybe 5 minutes in the morning to. I just got a book about it's like 1,000 art drawings that you can do in 5 minutes or less. I'm like, oh, I can learn art that way. 5 minutes, 5 minutes to help bring that nervous system down is part of reclaiming our life. It's so often, with we have families, if we have jobs, if we have all the different responsibilities, to think that we don't have power. But we do have power. We have power over what we can be grateful for. We have power over connecting with people as opposed to the other day I was standing in line at the grocery store and caught myself pulling out my phone. Why? And that was an opportunity to just take a few breaths. Maybe say hi to the woman behind me or smile at the kid in the grocery cart. We have these little moments throughout our day that are just part of, we just need to reclaim them and use them to help our limbic system, to help our nervous system calm down and relax. Um, and it really is such a combination of not only our physical um, being, but we've got our emotions, we've got our mental thoughts going through our head, we've got everything going on around us in the world. There are so many things going on that when we slow down, we start to realize the choices that we do have. And it allows us then to be able to create the choices and build the life that we want to build. Because I don't think anybody wants to be stuck in that fight or flight response, nor do we want to be stuck in frustration and fear over health challenges. And so when we can just take those even few minutes, it can change everything. And then once we start to feel the emotions coming down, at first, yeah, they're a little uncomfortable, but then it starts to feel really good. And we can be able to be a little more motivated. It becomes easier and easier and wanting to have more of that time. And then it becomes easier to connect with people rather than rushing around. So many things can change. And then our body, again, is able to do its best work toward healing and recovery from whatever it is that we've been dealing with.
Isn't that beautiful? When we talk about reclaiming your life, it sounds huge, maybe even overwhelming. Like, whoa, I feel so out of control. And when you say reclaim my life, that is too big. It is too big, and I can't do it. But when we break it down into steps and you say, let's claim 5 minutes,
Hmm?
let's claim 2 breaths. Let's claim this small segment. And so if we bring it down into something a little smaller, take these little step by step, being the tortoise, and say, today, my goal, I'm going to claim 5 minutes for myself. And I'm going to do something that's not on autopilot. Let's say my whole life is on autopilot. I know exactly what I'm going to do today. It was the same thing I did yesterday. And guess what? It's the same thing I'm going to do tomorrow. We don't even realize we're on autopilot. We just do what we do because that's what we do. And we think that's because I have to do it and I have no choice. But when we look and say, can I find 5 minutes? 5 minutes. And in these 5 minutes, I'm not going to be on autopilot. I'm going to make a conscious choice to do something with this 5 minutes that brings me joy, that brings me peace, and helps me to just be happy. And then once we claim 5 minutes, we think, that was pretty cool. And what's amazing is how big the benefits can be when we reclaim those small segments of time, don't you think?
Absolutely. And, it really starts even internally with what I call compassionate self coaching. We can be harder on ourselves than we can be on anybody else. I know when I first started this process, I didn't realize that I have self-talk going on in my head all the time. And I recognized one of the most common things I was saying to myself throughout the day was, "You are such an idiot. You blew it again." My self-talk was what I would never say to another person. But yet that was going through my head all the time. And so compassionate self coaching starts with compassionate awareness. What is it that we're saying to ourselves? What are the things that we're thinking about ourselves? And really being able to change that self talk to one of compassion rather than criticism and judgment. And then from there, being able to ask myself, what do I need? And maybe right now maybe I need, maybe I feel like I need a vacation. Maybe I feel like I need somebody to come clean my house. Whatever it is, just honestly, what do I need right now? And then self-care. What's one step I can take right now? Maybe it just means going for a walk around the block. Maybe it just means taking those deep breaths. Maybe it means doing the dishes. For me, one of my favorite things to do is to do the dishes. The warm water, the sense of accomplishment, being able to look out my window. What action do I need to take right now to take care of myself? And we think self-care means, oh, the bubble bath, the spa day. But usually it's much simpler than that. It's that few quiet minutes. It might be, I just need to call a friend and say hi to somebody. It might be a walk. It might just be creating a healthy meal for yourself. So self-care is so important, but it also is so personal and unique to what you need at that moment. And taking the time and the compassion to treat yourself with love.
That is beautiful. Self-talk and self-care. And I have been very guilty of lots of negative self-talk in the past. So much so, like when you said at the beginning, when you would say, "Are you stressed?" No, this is normal. If someone asked, Do you use negative self-talk? I would say no, because it was such a normal way of being, that's constant self-criticism. And the thoughts in my head to justify it, besides that it's normal and also thinking that it's true, were thoughts of, I'm not hurting anybody but myself. And thoughts of, this is a way of being humble, that I'm, down on myself. And it took a long time to be able to switch things around and to go from a place where negative self talk is normal. If you try to say or think something positive about yourself, at least for me, it felt very awkward, very uncomfortable. In fact, they felt like lies. And one entry level thing that you can say to yourself that's gentle is, I am the kind of person who is kind to myself. I know what kindness looks like. I would never have had a hard time being kind to you, Lori. Not at all. The person I had a hard time being kind to was me. So when I thought of it that way, I am the kind of person who is kind to myself, and becoming more consciously aware of, when I say those negative things, I am not being kind to myself. So that hopefully, hopefully someone else out there will think, oh, okay, that'll help me get started, because it sounds weird to say, good job, me. That's not what I say. That's not what I do. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. It is so huge. And I appreciate your clarification on self-care. Now we're stepping it up from our thoughts into our actions, doing something kind for ourselves. And it can be simple. We don't have to make it so big and unattainable that it's only available someday, which is never. It's something small that's right here, right now. And it might be, man, for you, washing the dishes works. That's a win-win, because then you're getting stuff done too. But if it is claiming 5 minutes for yourself,
Mhm.
or going for a walk, or, I found time to, wash my hair today, or whatever that little thing is, that counts, guys. That counts. You did
Yes.
it. Pat yourself on the back. You did a good job. And now you can do the next thing. So thank you for helping make this feel doable. Because when you're in a place where you're bedridden or home-ridden and you feel like you're slogging through the mud, and someone says, if you want to heal, you got to do something more. Really, it's not more, it's different, but it feels like more. And it can be, I'm already overwhelmed. Don't ask me to do anything more. But when we feel like it's small and simple, oh, that counts? Well, I can do that. I can do that. And that's really the message we want to share, is it's worth it and you can do it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so often we can feel like, but I have to say those things to myself to keep myself going. If I let down, then I might miss something. If I let down, something might not work right. I might get lazy and then everything will fall apart. And so that we can have that, I got to keep pushing harder. And so it keeps us stuck. Whereas if we can, again, just those small little bits of starting with those few breaths can help us to relax that fear response and be able to then get on the path to where we want to go without burning out before we get there. That gives us the long term ability to work through things as opposed to that the tortoise and the hare story.
Excellent. Well, thank you for visiting with me today.
You are so welcome. I enjoyed the conversation.
Me too. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Dr. John DeMartini. He said, I always say that incurable means curable from within. Today, I invite our listeners who are struggling with chronic illness and pain to look within to find their cure. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for tuning in to Linda's Corner podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends to help us inspire even more listeners. Be sure to visit hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free and affordable resources to help you overcome life's challenges. And explore healingbreathworkdetox.com, where you'll find transformative tools for deep inner healing and lasting change. Also, don't forget to check out my books, Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. Your journey to hope, healing, and happiness starts here.